house. There's a house in Nyack, 113 River Road. I inspected it 6 times.
What?
Yeah. Same house, inspected it 6 times.
But same people or different people?
Different people every time. And good morning. Welcome to the Real Estate Show. I'm your host, David Wilner from Pillar to Post Home Inspectors, and I'm here with
Christine Koenig with Keller Williams, New York and New Jersey. How are you doing, Dave?
I'm doing great, Chris. How you been?
I've been great. I'm currently experiencing some operating difficulties setting up my little camera situation for those who can't listen and may want to check us out later.
Yeah, anyone who's ever curious to find out what we look like can actually tune into what is this?
Well,
Facebook
it'll be
Live?
Yeah, it'll be on my my Facebook business page, which is well, just search me. I think it's like Warwick Realtor is like if you're like in Facebook.
Oh, but didn't they search you when you came in?
They don't do that here. I think once we make on-air status, they stop with the metal detectors. Anyhow.
I think Brenda should always be searched for weapons.
I'm sure she'll be thrilled to hear that. All right. Anyway, so I think we got a great show for everyone today. We are going to talk a little bit about real estate as a profession. And what I mean by that is, yeah, we'll talk about what it's like to be an agent, but real estate accounts for 17% of the GDP, and that's as an industry. So what is that, and what kinds of jobs could you get to participate in that sector of the industry?
Wow, that's a wide variety of jobs.
It
for
is.
Sure.
It is.
Yeah.
And then I got some home inspection questions of the day for Dave.
Those are always fun.
We're hoping Mike is going to join us a little later in the show. So I think we got great stuff.
Well, I love the enthusiasm.
I'm trying.
Do you want your earphones?
Maybe. How was your weekend?
My weekend was great. It's actually still kind of going because it's Happy Martin Luther King Day. Is
that something we're happy about?
Well,
how about like respectful
Martin Luther King Day? Yeah, I mean it's a day off, so pretty much everyone in my family has a day off today. So
yes, the kids are home. Not listening to the show, of course.
No, yeah. I don't think my teenagers budge from bed.
Right. I heard one. I have like one is awake. I had proof of life for one of them.
Yeah. It's rare to see, a teenager emerge from the wild, in my house. But occasionally they do come down to graze in the kitchen.
Yes. There is grazing. Or sometimes there is like a feigned request out the door to maybe go buy something.
Yeah.
Right? Do you think that we could go and buy XYZ? And so sometimes I say yes, just so that I can spend some time with my teenager.
Sure. We'll get you some leggings.
Exactly.
It's always leggings.
Or ski stuff.
Yeah.
Snowboard stuff, sorry.
Well, whatever. Yeah.
Anyhow, I feel like this weekend was a mix of like running around for work, but then some nice downtime.
Yeah.
So that was good. And it got cold. It's finally January here.
I went down yesterday to look at the boat for the first time since I packed it up since in November, and it's still there. Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Were you? I mean, I know we had some wind. Were you worried?
I was worried yesterday. Actually, after I'm home yesterday. We're sitting. My wife and I are just sitting there watching a movie, and we hear thump, and we kind of look at each other like, "Huh, I wonder what that was." And look out the window, and there was a big tree in my backyard. Went over.
Really, I will say this. There was something happened in our backyard yesterday, and I'm going to assume a transformer blew.
Oh, wow.
Because there was a very pretty light show for about 4 hours.
4 hours?
Remember chemistry, there was the water, and you put the phosphorus in the water, and then it sparked bright white? Do you remember that chemistry experiment? Okay, well, there is one that looks like that, and that's what my backyard looked like. There was a nice fire truck that just sat there for hours, making sure that the rest of the woods didn't burn down.
So It doesn't play well for radio, but I'm showing Christine a picture of the tree that came down.
All right.
A good sized tree.
Yeah, it looks like you've got, do you have a chainsaw? You ready?
Oh, yeah, I got
Zing,
chainsaw.
zing,
Yeah,
zing.
I'll get out there. I'm just going to make some firewood out of that. Unless my neighbor gets it before me.
Interesting. So, by the way, I don't know if you happen along the Facebook machine and check out what some of our cohorts in the area talk about. But twice now there has been this very interesting. Did anyone hear those noises or see those lights?
Aliens?
Well, I'm not going to say aliens.
I mean, were they in Pine Bush or was it here?
No, it was here.
Huh.
But it's what's been so interesting about the two times I've read these strings is that a lot of people always say it's fireworks, but then when you see the area that people say they're hearing the noises from, it can't possibly be fireworks. So I have no idea. But if anyone did see or hear some lights last night and you want to call in with your thoughts on that,
I would love to hear that.
I'm open to that. By the way, that and
What do you
any
think?
other
We
and any other
can't be
real
alone in the universe, right?
and any other real estate questions. I would.
Wow, now that we've opened up the whole universe to real estate.
Real estate
I mean,
questions. Why don't you?
Can I get acreage on Mars?
I can't even right now. Give us a text at 845-328-0886, or you can give us a call at. I've forgotten the phone number this morning.
I never knew it.
845-6.
It should be on a wall in
No,
here.
651-621-1110. Shoot,
I can look it
I'll
up.
look it up. But yeah, we'll get the right phone number. I do know it's 1110 though. Anyway, why don't we dig in? I'm going to ask Dave my home inspector question of the day.
Okay.
We'll start here. Ready?
Yeah.
I was reading, as I always do, interesting real estate blogs, and one blog was at 651. Yeah, 651-1110. And one of the blogs I was reading was talking about when a buyer and a real estate agent should join the home inspector at the home inspection. Now, I meet you right at the beginning with my clients and we do the introductions, and then, you tell them that you're going to start on the outside of the house, and then after you finish the outside, we sit and chat. This agent had suggested that the agent and the home buyers show up about an hour into the inspection so that as an inspector, you have a chance to start that inspection so that when we do that meet and greet, you can already talk about what happened outside or even maybe part of inside. Do you have an opinion on that?
Yeah, there's a couple of opinions. I mean, that's fine. So long as the visual inspection agreement has been signed by the customer ahead of time.
Okay.
No inspector can start an inspection without that executed document.
Oh, that's interesting.
If they attempt to, their insurance will be null and void.
All right. Good to know.
So I send it electronically to my customers beforehand so that they can sign it online, and that's done. Once that's out of the way, I typically show up early. So I like to be minimum 15, 20 minutes early. Gives me a chance to do probably the majority of the outside work, right? Depending on the house.
Right.
I can snap my pictures and get what I need to get done on the outside pretty quick without anybody around. And then when the client gets there, I can recap for them. But it's not a bad thing. I like to have an opportunity though for the client to participate in the inspection.
Right.
If they really, the inspection shouldn't be a cursory object. It should be an education opportunity for the customer.
Right.
But I would actually say that when should the home inspector get involved? As early as possible.
Right.
In the buy process. So agents, when you make a new contact and you have a new buy customer, introduce them immediately, right? Before you even show them a house, to a couple of inspectors so they can make a choice, and they can have that person sort of lined up, and they can have that expert there to ask questions of in their shopping process.
Oh, I do like that. Dave, you are a full service home inspector for sure.
Yeah, I mean, so when they're touring a house, oh, this is our dream house, it looks amazing. I wonder what this crack in the foundation is. Is it a big deal? Don't worry about that. Let's make an offer. And then the whole thing falls through because the foundation's in failure.
Right.
Why wait?
Right. Snap a picture and say, hey, Dave, should I worry?
Snap a picture. That's it.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, we're going to take a quick break, but we are going to come back with lots of fun real estate stuff today.
So, yeah. I wish everybody did that.
Hold on. Hey, Andy. I see you watching.
Oh. Hi, Andy. I wish everybody did that. I wish they would, because there's nothing worse than going on an inspection and finding everything is wrong at that time.
I mean, especially if the aliens moved in.
Especially. I mean, you start seeing little alien turds around the house.
I know, by the way, there's a lot more alien talk on like more major news things. People really are into alien conspiracy these days. Are they here? Did we capture an alien? Did they?
How is there any
land?
debate over this? Of course they're here. Has no one ever heard of the Nazca lines? How do you think those people in Peru built that stuff?
I don't know. Listen, how about the pyramids? I thought they were alien made too.
No, I can engineer a pyramid.
You can engineer a pyramid?
Yeah.
That many years ago?
Yeah.
Oh, look who it is. It's Mike Vanmansart. He's racing in. I love it. Hello.
Hello, perfect timing.
Perfect timing.
So.
Ever notice when you're like late, everyone's freaking daydreaming and
Oh yeah.
taking
You're behind. You're behind every slow car when you're late, right?
I was racing in. I texted Dave. I said, Taylor might need to cover for a little bit. He's like, what? I'm like, I'm racing. I'm going to make it.
Oh, I didn't get here till 10 o'clock myself.
So,
Which I didn't tell her, and I didn't want to stress her out when she's like, I'm late. I'm like, well, me too. But
Yes, but it's good. We all made it.
we did.
Let's see if I can't figure out how to get
We got
Mike
new
as part of our...
headphones, so these are kind of cool.
Let's see. Yeah. No, now it's just me and two shoulders. All right. Oh, I think we're coming back.
sorry.
Nope.
Do you want to swing around? No, he's not even listening. All right, I'll bring this in.
Go ahead.
All right.
To be cute, and I make this.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Show. I'm your host, Christine Koenig, with Keller Williams, licensed in New York and New Jersey. Who am I with here today?
You're licensed?
I am by the state. It's amazing. 2 states, actually.
2 states.
Yeah.
I'm Dave from Pillar to Post, Home Inspectors, and we also have with us today.
Mike Vanmansart with Cross Country Mortgage.
Hi, Mike.
Hi, Mike.
We are licensed in all 50 states. And I'm personally licensed in 5, I think, at this point. Yeah.
I feel like I'm only licensed in New York. I mean, I don't know. I got some license envy.
License and
Start taking the test.
That's right. And then pay the insurance.
Yeah.
I can't. I own a franchise,
Yeah, I know.
so I can't leave my territory.
Oh, gotcha.
Unless you wanted to buy someone else's territory from them.
Yeah, I suppose.
There's only one of you. One state is enough.
Yeah. As it is, I stretch a little extra.
Yeah, I know you do. I know you do.
Yeah.
Listen, once you have a client, you go where they go.
There's no one in Sullivan or Dutchess. We don't have any franchises up that way.
Oh.
So I basically cover those areas in addition to my market.
You might as well. That seems to be where business is pushing. Like, seems to be going north and west.
Well,
Yeah.
sometimes I will say this. I was laughing. I was driving through, just a part of Orange County the other day, but a part of Orange County that for a while I did a lot of business in. And then, business moves. And so I wasn't in that area as much. And I was looking at all the changes that had happened in the last maybe 2 years since I'd really been in that area a lot. And and that's what I was thinking about. I'm like, real estate is so interesting, the way you can be busy in an area and then your clients take you to another area and your clients take you to another area. And you really get to, like, first of all, learn the whole area. But it's like...
Was that West Town?
No, that was more like Scotchtown.
Isn't that the same thing?
No, Scotchtown is part of Middletown, whereas Westtown is its own entity.
But aren't they right next to each other?
No, Dave, the home inspector.
I don't. Well, I inspect homes. I don't inspect roads.
By the way, speaking of, let's talk about West Town and that area. Hey, listeners out there, I have a client that I am really struggling to find a place for. So, if you are thinking of selling and your home meets these parameters, please give me a call. Are you ready?
Sure.
All right. I'm looking for 5 or more acres. And that's really about it. A house on it, right? It doesn't have to be the world's nicest house. 3 bedrooms or more, right? You got 3 or 4 bedrooms. You got a 5-acre lot. I might have your buyer. Please reach out. All right, that's what I got. But
I
he's
feel
got.
like Warwick would have a lot of that, but
Well, they want to be in the Menacing School District.
gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
So, I am anxiously awaiting some new inventory. They'll even push up into like Huguenot in that area, like Deer Park, but
I don't know. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. I don't know anything out that way. It's
So-
really
They're popping
available.
up every day, so
I know,
hopefully they have
and
some
you know,
more.
inventory. I'm hoping inventory picks up. If anyone out there is thinking of listing, or just want some information on the value of your home, so that you can make some informed decisions about your financial life, you should reach out and give me a call. I will, come help you out. Let you know what things are looking like in your neck of the woods right now. Right?
So where were we had a topic.
Yeah,
We
what I
did.
miss?
Sorry. So we were right before we left. We were talking to Dave about aliens, as well as
I missed a lot.
as well as when an agent should bring their buyers to a home inspection, those sorts of things.
Well, how do you make use of your home inspector? What is the job of the home inspector, right? So I think there's a misconception out there that says, for buyers, they just think it's something they have to do. Okay, there's no requirement to have a home inspection.
Right.
B, the home inspection isn't just something you get through. It's your opportunity to have an education on your investment. And I would encourage particularly buyers to get this education early and often, right? So consult your home inspector in your buy process. Before you've actually made an offer on a house, before you've selected a place, use them to filter and fine-tune your offer, okay? And B, after the inspection, keep that home inspector's phone number on speed dial, all right? Anytime you have a question about your house, call them and tap into that resource.
Yeah.
I hear from my customers all the time, and I love it. And it's great because they will call me and say, "Hey, Dave, thanks for inspecting my house 5 years ago. I'm remodeling my kitchen. I want to buy a new dishwasher. Is there a brand you recommend over one other?" And sure, I test a couple hundred a year, so I definitely have opinions on which ones are easy to operate and efficient. And I read a lot of material on these things. So also, I can come in and help you read an estimate. If a contractor is giving you an estimate to put an addition on your house or something like that, it's great to have, give me a call. I'll stop by the house. We'll go over that bill of materials and that estimate together. And are they quoting things that are apples to apples?
Right.
So there are a lot of good ways to use your home inspector, and I encourage you to use all of those things.
All right.
Get the most value you can from that situation.
I love that.
Yeah, I have a question about that. Someone actually asked me this, and I didn't know how to answer it. It was related to a home inspection. If you did an inspection on a property, you were the inspector, and that buyer walked away, let's say for whatever reason that you found something out, it kind of scared him, and then let's say a month later, now a new buyer's interested, and you're the inspector again. Now, each customer is a new customer, right? Are you
Yes.
able to? So if there was an issue previously, we don't know. Let's say the owner did fix it, that come up, but because you knew about the issue, do you then have to now disclose it to the new buyers, or is it a conflict? Do you not take on that report because of that?
So, no. The inspection is a visual inspection on that particular day.
Okay.
Any previous inspections are unrelated. you know, there's a house in Nyack, 113 River Road. I inspected it 6 times.
What?
Yeah. Same house, inspected it 6 times.
For the same people or different people?
Different people every time.
Wow.
You know, and I mean, yeah, okay, my inspection probably got a little more detailed with each time I did it, but you know, and granted, yes, there are things I know about that house, you know, but every inspection I started from scratch.
Yeah, that's what I figured. It's a new set of eyes,
Yep.
like as if you've never seen it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I didn't take any shortcuts, didn't reuse any pictures, didn't reuse any comments, because things change.
Yeah.
So I have had a situation where I was the second buyer in, and vice versa, where I had the first buyer and then my buyer didn't execute and a new buyer came in. And there's question asked, can we buy the home inspection from you? To which I say, I don't know. What are, you know, what are your thoughts on that?
I don't really have any. It's up to the. So once I complete the report,
Right.
and I give it to my client,
Yep.
they own it.
Right.
They can do with it as they please. I don't really have any influence in it.
Right. But that new buyer is not your client.
That new buyer is not my client.
And they're not protected with your. Yeah, I'm sure you carry some type of E&O insurance or something along those
That's
lines.
correct.
Yeah.
They would not be covered by my E&O
Yeah.
or anything like that.
All right. That all kind of makes sense to me.
Yep. You know, but they can do that.
Right. No, I've had it happen once where the agent knew the inspector,
I've done
trusted the inspector,
Yeah.
and said, "Hey, my client would like to, you know, knows that your client spent the money. We are going to hire the same inspector. You know, can we just buy the report from you?" To which my buyer was actually thrilled to have gotten reimbursed in some way. So, I mean, it was win-win. I just don't know what like the repercussions on the back end of that might be.
Yeah, I think I don't have any problem with it. You'd think I would because I'm missing out on a job, but I don't really. I mean,
Right, especially if it's like the same week, right? It was like within the same week, same deal, same sale.
yeah, I have been in that situation a few times where people have asked me, and I was like, well, call the client, you know, see what they want to do.
Yeah.
They own it, I don't.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, that's interesting. Do we have any other questions for Dave today, the home inspector?
No, I mean, personal experience, I did not inspect my home when I purchased it, but I did have Dave come out
I did.
after a while just to make sure I didn't buy a full over. But yeah, I mean, you know, I took the risk. It was one of the things where I had seen the property getting gutted and rebuilt essentially. So I kind of had, although I wasn't doing the work, I saw the steps that were taking place. And my fear after a couple of years of owning the house was, hey, I just want to make sure the bones are still good and that, you know, like it's just an old house, right? So you want to double check that things are good. So yeah, buyer beware. I was one of the people that doesn't take my own advice.
Don't skimp on your septic inspection either.
Yeah, well, I'm municipal, but yeah, I agree with that. Don't skip on that.
I inspected a house last week.
Yeah.
You know, I said to the customer, I'm like, look, you know, you have a septic system. You really need to get a septic inspection. They said, do we really? The buyer says, and my reaction is, trust but verify.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, sure enough, there had no leach field.
Ooh.
They were emptying into a retaining pond.
Ooh. See, I bet they were like, "Thank you, Dave."
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people just think they can go, if they have any type of excavating experience, dig up the septic and install it themselves. That's the other thing I hear is like, oh, well, I can do the work. I'm like,
What?
all right, whatever you say.
Who would want to do that?
You would be surprised how many people will take on bigger projects than they should or really legally allowed to.
Yeah.
That being said, I think that we are going to have a break. We're going to hear from our sponsors, and we'll be right back.
I've never, ever thought to myself I would want to dig up the septic system.
So
That is
it's not
never
that they
the-
want to dig it up. It's like they think they can just throw some gravel and some pipes and it'll all be fine. Or the other one.
I don't know the first thing about septic.
I will say this: the other one that comes up is when people have like the pits, right? Like
Cesspool.
Cesspool.
no, instead of having the lines, they have the seepage pits, and it's not a cesspool because it has a tank, settling tank, and then it goes out to the pits with all the holes, right? And sometimes you have like 2 pits. And so sometimes it's suggested that you get an additional pit. And they're like, oh, what is that? A pipe, some rock, and a concrete barrel? I mean, they're not wrong about that, but they still shouldn't be doing it on their own.
That concrete barrel weighs 1,200 pounds.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, yeah. I mean, but how do you
I
move
feel like it might weigh more than that.
Oh, I'm just guessing. You know, I mean, I don't know what it weighs, but, you know.
By the way, when we come back, we're gonna roll over to you.
Okay.
Just because we've been having that ourselves. We'll talk about that. See where rates are. I saw your video this morning with your more in 24. I thought
Wait, it went out?
I got it this morning.
Oh, wow. That's so weird.
And it said Happy Friday. I was like, and I have to tell Mike
Which one
not
was
to
it?
say Happy Days. It just said that you're going to do more in 24.
That's so strange. Because, like, I literally sent that out for approval on Friday, and it just triggered today.
Yeah. So, well, I got it this morning.
Oh, oops. I'll have to correct that. Why, was I wearing a black shirt?
I think so.
All right.
I don't know. Are you always?
I'm embarrassed now that it went out on Monday.
And just, by the way, on a side note, smile. Just a little
That
smile.
makes sense, yeah.
I was like, oh, but my comment was I loved it. So I'm just gonna say I saw your video and I loved it.
Yeah. That's funny.
So, all right, we're gonna come back
These
in.
are very fancy.
They're new. Oh, I'm coming in.
Huh?
Welcome back to the Real Estate Show. I'm your host, Christine Koenig, with Keller Williams, hosting today with
Dave.
and.
Mike Vanmansart.
All right. So we have, by the way, if you're just tuning in, Dave, the home inspector, and Mike Vanmansart, the
Mortgage guy.
mortgage guy, the really fabulous mortgage guy.
Like,
Yes, you just
So
told me.
so
Mike, the
knowledgeable.
mortgage guy.
Mike the mortgage. I feel like you do need a jingle.
Yeah, maybe. I should work on that for my Friday videos that go out on Monday.
Yes, I did get I did get a video from Mike this morning. I'm like, ooh, this is new. Let me see what this is all about.
Yeah,
I was
so
so
it's funny that you
excited.
brought it up because I did send that out on Friday as it was supposed to go out, but it goes through a corporate channel that
Okay.
has to approve my videos to make sure that I don't say anything off color, right? Or
Right.
you know, like say anything that would get anyone in trouble.
No F-bombs?
Yeah, no cursing, no whatever. And so it's funny. I submitted that request on Friday, and you're telling me now that it went out on Monday morning.
Yes, and it did say Happy Friday.
Yeah, but
so Mike,
I will change that and not put a date in
Yes,
there for the
correct.
future. But I'll make sure to actually get it approved ahead of time. I was doing it late on a Friday, and you know, obviously people go home, so they probably got it first thing this morning. And then I didn't even know it was set up to auto fire. So
Right.
hey, good to know.
Good to know. Listen, I'm here to help
Yeah,
you.
no, I appreciate it.
By the way, my favorite part of the video, though, in all honesty, is Mike has a motto for the year, which is more in 24.
Yes, that is true.
And
More
I'm
in 24.
loving it.
Yeah, I'm doing a lot to try to. I mean, look, they say like 23 was the warm up, right? Because everyone had tough business in 23. The fact that a lot of people are still in it is a testament to, you know, their work ethic and wanting to stay motivated. So many people got out of it, right?
Right.
I think 47% of loan officers didn't renew their license. 1,000 realtors, I think, stepped away from the business, maybe, or was it more at this point?
I heard a really staggering figure from Kevin in the office. He said to me, Kevin too, he was like the office manager. He said for like agents who come in for the first time, 80% do not renew their license in 2 years. I mean, that's a staggering figure
Yeah.
for people who really think they want to get in the business to not renew
Well,
within that first 2 years.
I think it's a lot harder than people think it is.
Oh, I mean, I know that's true.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
you know,
go
to me,
ahead.
I think that expectations are just like what the job is versus what people think the job is. Nobody does a good job talking to people about what you actually have to do and how long it takes to build a like a sound business. It's not like something you step in and you make $100,000 your first year, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like there's, you know, the internet does not do these people any favors.
Well, the average salary for for a real estate agent is probably less than 50.
So I saw two different stats when I was preparing for our next segment. One said the average the average income for a realtor was 45,000.
There you go.
And then the other one said the average agent, the average income for a real estate agent was 100,000. I'm like, I don't know where that information came from, but that's just not accurate at all.
And all the consumers see is like the commission check that they pay at closing, but they don't realize that you were working with that realtor for 6 months trying to find a house or getting their house sold.
Right, and,
so it's
and
all
that right, and that
perspective.
number is divided by many times.
Of course.
But anyway, enough about that.
Yeah.
Let's.
Oh, more in 24.
Yes, more in 24. Rolling back to things like what are like more in 24? Like what are we thinking for mortgage rates in 24?
I think they're going down. I mean, that's kind of the trend.
Where are we at right now?
They're, I think, the market's closed today because
Right.
it's a holiday technically, but I would guess that they're just under 7 if I were to just kind of,
Okay.
based on last week, give or take.
Right,
So
I was thinking we're 6.5-ish, but we're not quite there.
you're probably there if you pay a little bit. It's not going to be there without, paying some
Okay.
discount points of some kind. And it also depends. Everyone's scenario is different, right? So you have someone that 3% down, 5% down, 20% down.
Right, credit score.
There's first-time homebuyer programs where, as long as you make under a certain income, you can get discounts on interest rates and mortgage insurance. So there's all kinds of different variables. But if I were to just shoot from the hip, I would say it's just a tad under 7, really.
Okay.
But I think that it's going to be a great year this year. It's going to start slow. I think they're not anticipating everything to ramp up till like March, but my January's been super busy.
Good.
It's been steady.
My January's been super busy too, and I'm loving that.
Yeah.
As you know, because you're hearing from me more.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I've seen a big uptick too in the market and number of transactions we have going on right now.
Yeah, and starting to hear from people who want to list their homes, right? That's what's most exciting to me is, I'm getting more calls about people who want to list.
Yeah.
And even if they're not exactly sure, at least they're finding out the value of their home, right? It gives them like a moment to say, okay, I'm ready. But you know what I think is going to happen this year is going to be the breakwater point where for the last 2 years, people have not wanted to sell their home. In the last year in particular because of the rates, right? And prior to that because of everything else. But if you're in a situation where, you have to move, you can only live in your uncomfortable situation for so long. And I just feel like rates coming down even a little bit are making people say, okay, it's time, we got to do this. We've been putting this off long enough.
You also have to get creative because, people are saying that concessions are not getting accepted, still. I'm like, I had a $5,000 concession that just closed. I had a $17,000 concession that's gonna close, so don't focus on the rate. You can use that concession to do a 3-2-1 buy down or something where you're gonna reduce your rate temporarily. It's still a 30-year fix, but you get the benefit of a low payment for a few years. And then refi, like we keep telling people refinance, that really is the next step is like, hey, take a rate, maybe it's 7, maybe it's in the 6s, and then you kind of wait till they get to 5 and change, right? So it's, if you need a house, now's the time. Because it's only going to get more competitive as rates fall.
No, and I would agree with that for sure. So one of the other things we're going to talk about today, or do we have other mortgage things we want to talk about?
Oh, no, we can go into whatever you like.
So one of the things we were talking about is real estate as a profession. And what does that really mean? And I will say in the last month, I've had 3 or 4 different people come up and ask me what it's like to be a real estate agent. Can we meet? They're thinking about getting into the industry. What do they need to know? And I'm always happy to have that conversation. But, I'm going to talk about that conversation from what it's like to be a real estate agent, right?
Yeah.
But real estate as a whole is 17% of the GDP, right? That number has, is part of what I do, is part of that, part of what you do, part of what Mike does, right? But, that number incorporates construction of new and multifamily structures, residential remodeling, broker fees, house services, rents, utilities, things like that. But for a sector that is that big, there are so many different kinds of jobs that fall into that, right? So, we'll talk about real estate agents because, that's the first thing I would think of because that's what I do.
It's your experience.
That's right. It's my experience. And but in terms of that, you can be a residential agent, you can be a commercial agent, you can be a broker, a rental specialist, right? You can work in the office as support staff, commercial, industrial or sell office space, rent office space. So many different niches,
It's a big industry.
right? Farm and land. So just kind of from the agent side, you can focus on any of those niches, right?
Okay.
And even when you're licensed by the state, sometimes you're going to branch over into maybe 2 of those things.
But what I want to know
Yeah.
is, what do you love about your job?
Me?
Yeah. What do you love about it?
Oh my God, so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what gets you out of the bed every day to say, I'm going to go do real estate?
Well, I would say first, I love helping people find their new homes. There's something just satisfying about that. And sometimes that's a hard search. Sometimes it's a lot easier, but there is that moment when everything comes together. So an offer has been accepted. We've been searching for a while. And you see that enthusiasm about a new place. So that's what I love the most. But I'm also like a kind of techie person. So like, I like the ins and outs. I like looking at, finding problems and what they are and learning about them. I really, I don't love the behind the scenes paperwork. That would not be my favorite part of the thing. But it's always the people. For me, it's the people, it's the searching, it's getting to know someone, and what makes them tick, and it's nice, and I enjoy that. I like listing homes, but I really, if you were to say what is my favorite part, it's definitely working with people.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. People are pretty good.
people are pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even when they're not, they're still okay.
So when you're working with a buyer,
Yeah.
is there anything special you do to sort of help that buyer connect with a property? Like, how do you get to know your buyer and know the property? Like, is there...
So, when I first meet a buyer, we're going to talk about what they're looking for. And then as we're walking through whatever that first house is, because in general, someone may say to me, hey, I'm looking for a house and I want to be here. And I ask very basic questions at first, because most of that time that conversation is over the phone. And so I'm just going to ask them, how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, what is it, a kind of home, location? And then I send them stuff, say, hey, see if there's anything in here you want to see. And then when we meet, we really dig in, because I think that you're going to have more connection when you're meeting with that person face to face. You can really kind of dig in. So then when I meet them, we're going through the house, and I'm telling them things like, hey, by the way, when we're walking through the house, I am your advocate, right? I need to know what you think so that I don't send you things that are irrelevant for you. And that's when I really come to find out that what they think they want has nothing to do with what they actually want.
So you're learning as you're showing them the house and they're going through.
Exactly.
Versus what they tell you.
Yep. And then, when I send people stuff online, it's very broad. I can't just send you exactly what you're saying, because the database is only as good as the data. And people don't always put things in, like the number of times I find a fireplace in a house that didn't say it had one, but sometimes people say, I want a fireplace. So I can search by homes with fireplaces, but you're going to miss, 60% of the homes that actually have them. So I try to keep my actual searches as broad as possible, but then as we dig in, we'll find and pull out, cherry pick the ones that we really, really need to see.
I've inspected houses that said they had fireplaces on the listing, and it was all bricked up. That's not a fireplace.
Yeah.
How about, or have a plug-in one?
That's definitely not a fireplace.
It's not. We'll list it. All right. So some of the other things in the industry that we can have, appraisals, right? You can be an appraiser. That's like an independent contractor kind of job.
Yep.
Property manager.
Yep.
Property development. Staff that go into that. Project managers that go into that. Land developer, urban planning, right? That's all kind of considered real estate. Urban planning is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe if I'd gone back to school, I might do something urban planning like. And real estate counselor, real estate research, title, mortgage. I mean,
real
so much.
estate counselor.
Yeah, we'll talk about that when we get back from our break.
Let's do that.
All right.
I feel like that's the... I fucked up. Oh, let me counsel you on this.
So when we have the first time home buyer programs we have, you have to take a class or do a counseling thing. So that may be what it is. Or like if you do a reverse mortgage, you have to get counseled before you take out a reverse mortgage.
Right.
Why?
See, I'm gonna let you talk
Oh,
about all that.
what is I don't even know what a reverse mortgage is.
It's basically paying you out of the equity of your house.
Right, you take it's think about it like as a giant loan that you pay yourself in installments.
Yeah.
And
This is a good idea.
It depends on your
Depends who you
age. If you're on a fixed income and you only have your house as equity and you're making $2,000 in Social Security, but that costs, it costs more to live than $2,000, then yeah, you can access the equity of your house.
if you're like 65,
And then there's nothing
7,
left at the end, though.
maybe you don't have anyone you need to leave something to. Or
Well,
maybe
no,
maybe your kids are doing just fine.
Yeah, and the kids get the option. Do you want to sell it or buy it? Like, that's how it works at the end. People always think the banks take their house. It's like, no, banks don't want your house. And it's not, you don't,
Something sounds.
no, it's not.
Somebody left a hat in here.
Did they?
Your coat's on the
Is this one?
There's one over to the right, over there.
Hello, honey.
Hi, baby.
Not mine.
I don't know. I can see you fishing in that.
Yeah. That's exactly what I was thinking.
Well, you're also not going to 100% of your equity. It's capped.
Oh.
So you have some left. Like,
By the way, you know what would be fun? Hold on, I'll just put it back in.
And welcome back to the
Yep. You tried
the
again.
Real Real Estate Show. I'm your host, David Wilner from Pillar to Post Home Inspectors, and I'm here with,
Christine Koenig with Keller Williams.
who else is here?
yeah, and like Vanmansart with cross country.
Hey, Mike.
Hello.
So we were just kind of talking about all different sorts of jobs you can have in real estate, right? Because people always think I want to be in real estate. Agent is the first thing that comes up, or maybe the investor, right? Which is both completely accurate. But there, is so many different jobs feed into that industry.
Yeah, I feel like 17% is low as the estimated GDP because really real estate churns all kinds of businesses, insurance, construction.
Yep.
I mean, you name it. It's like the starting point is real estate or the house, and then everything comes off of that, right?
Right. So one of the things we were just talking is real estate counseling, to which Dave said, "What is that?"
So, I mean, yeah, I know a little bit about it. If, I'm assuming what you had written down is what I'm talking about. So as a first-time home buyer, if you leverage some of the programs, you're required to take a first-time home buyer class. It tells you what a mortgage is, what principal and interest is, what mortgage insurance is. You can pick up the phone and do it on the phone, or we have an online class that you can take. And then at the end, you get a little certificate. We actually have to submit that to the underwriter to make sure that you've completed it and make sure that you can access that program. The other counseling is related to reverse mortgages, and that is something totally separate. That is always typically done on the phone. It is counseling the, person who's refinancing, because that's usually what it's used for, on what a reverse mortgage is, what the benefits are, what the cons are,
Right.
and then what's the outcome at the end. Because everyone hears reverse mortgage and they just assume, oh, well, the bank's going to take my house. And that's not the case at all. It's essentially just fronting your equity as if you were selling it, that's essentially, and giving you monthly installments or a draw or a large lump sum. And it's based on age and equity. So you have to be 62 or older, I believe. The older you are, the more equity you can access, because in theory, you are not going to live as long, right? So you can access more of the equity versus when you're younger. So yeah. And in this day and age, a lot of people are accessing them because of inflation and they're on
Right.
fixed income. And maybe they didn't have that lifelong pension or whatever that people had back in the day, and they're basically just living on Social Security, and they have a nice, beautiful house, but when the taxes come due and everything else, they're ending up living paycheck to paycheck. So these really come into play. So that's kind of the idea behind them.
All right. So some other areas, title, right? You can, title is interesting. I didn't even, until I bought my first house, I had no idea it was a thing. But really what the title industry does is make sure that the house you're getting or buying, someone else doesn't have, like some unknown quantity doesn't have some right to the ownership, right? So you buy an insurance policy, but in order to do that, someone has to examine that title, meaning they go down and they pull all the ownership records and they make sure that there isn't someone who has a claim on that house somewhere else. You can be a title closer, which means you're at the table working with the attorneys in New York, where we have, and northern New Jersey, where everyone is working with attorneys. That attorney is coordinating that work with the title, But in most other parts of the country, they don't use attorneys in real estate most of the time. And it's that title person, like when you hire title, that they're doing all the coordinating. They're getting the municipals. They are making sure that all the terms of that state-written, very general contract are met prior to closing. They're taking escrow money. They're distributing checks at the end. It is a bigger job other places. So, that being said, home inspections,
Yes. Yep.
big part of the job, but there's also septic inspection, oil tank inspections. You know, you can be an electrical inspector or a plumbing inspector. There's, there are tons of those sorts of things. Building departments, right? You can work in the building department, either as a, building inspector themselves.
Code enforcement.
Support staff. We have mortgage.
Yes.
Do you want to talk about all the kinds of mortgage jobs there are?
There's a ton. There's processing, underwriting. There's secondary, the secondary market, which is basically when you lock a loan. It's not closing that day typically. So there's a secondary market that has to hedge and basically protect the rate that you just locked at and make sure that when it does finally close, that the bank is not losing money.
Right.
And then beyond that, when they're sold and packaged to Fannie and Freddie, that's a whole nother,
right. That's
job.
the investor side.
Yeah,
really.
That's the investor side. You have the servicing of loans. So there's huge companies. Most banks, like big banks, they're going to write the loan, they're going to close it, it's going to stay in their name. But a lot of times behind the scenes, there's a sub-servicer, meaning they're the ones sending the bill, right? So the bank has done their job. Now their job is to still be on the bill, but they're not actually, they want the money back so that they can free it up to lend elsewhere. And that's where the sub-servicer comes in, and Fannie and Freddie. So there's tons of jobs behind the scenes, from just, a loan officer, just answering the phone and guiding someone through a purchase. There's a million people working behind it.
Right. So, for me, in terms of all of these jobs, there's the actual work of doing that job. And then if you're in one of these industries where you're working as an independent contractor, which a lot of these jobs you do work as an independent contractor or own your own business. What you don't realize is like the fun part, what you love about your job, that ends up being the smallest part of what you do.
Yeah, that's true.
Because the biggest part of what you do is marketing yourself and making sure that your name is getting out there and managing your referral network and your social media and getting to events and creating mailings and all of the things. Right, when I talk to someone, I'm like, listen, that fun part, right? You're in the 20 to 30% of what you do with your day. I said, but that other 70% of the day, you're doing the paperwork of the job. You're doing the marketing of yourself. You have to get out and meet people in order to sell your business. It's just, that's the reality of owning your own business.
Yeah, I would say it's like, as a home inspector, it's 50% of my time is spent marketing. 25% of my time is done inspecting, and 25% of my time is spent writing.
Yeah, those reports, you got to write everything up.
So that's the more in 24 mantra, right? Is like, we have to do more, because it's, look, that video that went out on Monday, or that went out today that I recorded Friday, it's painful to hear that it went out Monday, but it's still great that it went out, So it's like, that's stuff that we have to do. I did this thing where it's like, they call it green, red, and blue time. Like your red time is kind of the stuff that you hate doing. It should be in the morning from like 8 to 12. Let's say it's like the paperwork. It's those, like the little stuff. And then from like 12 to 6, that's your green time. That's the money making time. What are you doing during that time? All right, I'm following up with past clients. I'm following up with current clients. I'm reaching out to realtors. And then that blue time is family time. Like anything after 6 or whatever you want that time to be is when you focus on home life and family, and then you do it all over again the next day. All right. So yeah, it's part of what I'm trying to do this year, because like you said, it is a business. We're not order takers. We really have to create a business that we run. And and just have our clients be happy at the end. Right,
because the more happy clients we have, the less generating business time we have to do, because they will do that on our behalf.
Exactly. So
very interesting.
Yeah.
So other than that, I would say I'll throw out there, if you have any interest in becoming a real estate agent and want to learn about it, you can always give me a call, shoot me a text, whatever. I do love to talk about what I do, answer questions you may have that we didn't touch on here today. That's...
I get a bunch of those calls too.
Oh, I'm sure you do. I actually
yeah.
have a lot of people say, I'm thinking of becoming a home inspector, would you send business? And I always say, I'm open to everything, but, and I
Do the
say,
classes first.
right, right. Once you have your stuff, give me a call.
Get licensed, it's funny. I mean, so I've been inspecting homes now for about 7 to 8 years. And I've done thousands of inspections at this point, but I look back every once in a while on the first couple of inspections I did. They were not good.
They were not good.
They were not good.
I can let everyone know they're good now.
Yeah, they're good now. I mean, I just remember writing like a 15-page report and thinking, I don't know what else to put in here.
Right.
Now I write 120 pages. How did that happen? It just does with experience and time.
Yes. I feel like once you write a report and then something happens, you're like, oh, I need to write more about that thing. Okay. Now I fixed that. Now, oh wow, I really got to write more about that thing.
Yeah, I mean, there's
you made mistakes. You're never going to make that mistake again, right? So
That's
you know
right.
exactly where to look for, I mean, that comes up with loans. It's like if you ever been bit by like a debt that you didn't know about, it's like, oh no, now how do I fix this? And you'll never get bit by that again. I guarantee it. So
Right.
Just how it works.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. I mean, it's a good, as a home inspector, it's a good industry to have a mentor, to have somebody in that can help. If you're looking to break into the business, to have somebody that can help guide you a little bit. That's why for me, when I bought a franchise, we had that built into it. It was part of my business model.
Oh, that you got to work with someone for a little bit?
Yeah.
That's nice.
I think it's better to be an inspector than an appraiser because I don't know how long appraisers are going to be out there in the next 15, 20 years with all the technology we have.
You mean like the AVMs and stuff
the
like that?
AVMs, I think there's talk about having people actually walk through the house and we can generate a report. There's so much going on with technology that, I mean, there's always going to be a need for an inspector, I think, and appraisals, who knows? I don't know what the future holds.
That's interesting. I'll be interested to see how that all works
It's
out
not
because
around
there's
the corner. It's
right
years out, but
because there's nothing. I will say I've looked at every AVM out there. I just did just did a CMA where I had looked at 6 different versions and each one their price range were so off.
Yep.
And even averaging all of them together, I'm like, nope.
Yeah, I think the handoff will just be one person. I had an AVM done in work on a HELOC, and I was like, if this was the value, I'd buy this house tomorrow. I was like, there's no way. And then I actually ordered a full appraisal, and it was $200,000 difference from actually having someone in the market come out and look at the house. So
yeah, and that's, to me, I know that we may need less appraisers, but we're always going to need appraisers.
Yeah, I think at the
boots on
final,
ground.
yeah, I agree.
So, very interesting.
Part of me thinks they're trying to do away with home inspectors out there because now the state's done away with the fiscal. Yeah, when you sign that disclosure document as a seller, and there's that.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so the sellers used to be responsible to knock back the fee, the inspection fee. So now they're not doing that anymore. And
right, you're required. So I will say this: in New Jersey, that's always been the case, and we do no less inspections because of it.
Yeah,
well, that wasn't always the case. I mean, that's not always been the case in New Jersey. I mean,
since I've been an agent.
Yeah, I sold a couple of homes in New Jersey, and I years ago, and I signed those documents.
Right, that's what I mean.
Oh yeah,
you sign them. It's not, but it's not like it was a substitute for a home inspection.
Well, it's technically no, but it's.
I'm just telling. What I'm saying is, I work with people in New Jersey all of the time. None of them have ever said, "I have these 6 pages."
Laying us out.
Oh, we're out. Okay, everyone.
Have a great week.
Have a great week.
Take care. Oh shit.
Anyway, I wouldn't worry about that.
Yeah.
7 pages. Nobody's going to say, "Oh, look, someone who owns the home and wants to say something really nice about it, so I buy it, said that there are no leaks." I'm definitely going to believe them. It's a no.
I think it represents a liability for the seller.
It does. That's why they were suggested to pay the $500.
Right.
But the state put that in there. And by the way, upstate in New York, they've never paid the $500. They've always filled out the paperwork. This is a down here thing. Oh, New Jersey, never allowed to pay $500. Always had to fill it out. Upstate New York, they've always filled it out. When I've done things up there, the first thing that they say is where's the property condition disclosure. It's not like here it's assumed you're getting the 500. Other places people just fill it out, and it doesn't mean people aren't doing home inspections because nobody trusts what's on that piece of paper.
I mean,
So you didn't get to
Bye.